This one was different. This one was absolutely different. There were over 600 people there, and it was not an inexpensive dinner, and it wasn't raising money for politics. It was because these people that showed up there from all over the world were each there to express their love and gratitude to this man who was always kind, gentle, attentive, innovative, fearless, and truly a man who was dedicated to his family, his peers, his staff, and most of all, to his God. And he had no shame about letting everybody know it. This guy literally glowed. I mean, literally. I was going to bring a big picture of him in from one of the magazines, and I forgot. And he does. This guy just glows. He's got silver gray hair. Just the sweetest, most wonderful gentleman. He built this organization from 200 to 300 members into an organization of 12,000 members. And he did it from a place of love, respect, caring for everyone. He clearly was always guided by Spirit. He brought together the service providers in our industry who were fiercely competitive and caused them to let that go and work with each other for the best interests of the industry. Just an absolutely amazing, amazing function that he performed. In a corporate setting, that's an unheard of kind of thing. He often said he always turned to his faith when he was challenged and was guided accordingly. Here's a guy who truly did it his way, different from what would have been expected, by doing it God's way. I'd like to conclude my message today by reading an article that I just kind of stumbled on. It's from a website called Beyond Prayer and Meditation. It's by a young woman by the name of Gail Upton. The name of the article is The Father Within, and I thought that maybe I would try to just paraphrase it, but it's just too good. So bear with me. It's a couple pages long, but it's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment and expression of the fact that God is in the midst of who we are. So the name of the article is The Father Within, and she has a quote at the beginning of it that says, "God in the midst of thee is mighty." Although these words are not in the Bible per se, this statement has been familiar to me from what seems like forever. Midst means middle, and years ago I used to think of God as being in the middle of my environment, much like someone standing with me in the middle of a group of friends or in the middle of a classroom, watching, protecting. Until I realized God is in the middle of my being, as my very being itself. I considered God outside, but close. Comforting as these thoughts were, I was never able to have that assurance of God being with me when things got tough. Through many years of trial and tribulation, the Father was something to whom I prayed to for help and guidance, until one day I finally woke up to the truth. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus talks about the Father within. He consistently talks about our Father who lives in the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of heaven is where? Is within. And so I went back to the original statement to decipher its new meaning. God is in the midst of me, in the middle of myself. And God is in the midst of you too, and in the midst of those who have no clue what God is, even in those whom we call our enemies. God is in the middle of every single one of us as our life. But what does this mean? It means that everything God is, you are. If God is love to you, then you are love also. If God is intelligence to you, then you are intelligent and have the ability to express it. But only if you first come to the realization of fact. one cannot utilize the attributes of a loving, guiding, protecting, maintaining, and sustaining God if one is unaware of God's being within. Just like one cannot have access to money in the bank if one does not have money in his own named account. It's an individual expression and experience, even while being collective to life itself. This explains why some people have an abundance of something, while others experience lack in areas of their lives. God is total fulfillment, and when one becomes filled up with the nature of God's grace, then manifestation of that grace occurs. Some people prefer to wear spiritual blinders, but that doesn't affect the truth any more than, and listen to this, any more than pulling down the shades in one's house while expecting the sun to go away. The benefits of the sun's warmth and light and energy are still there. They just won't be felt. We mustn't, however, limit God selfishly, but rather see God in all things, all people, all situations. God is the life and substance of all visible form as well as the invisible. Without the invisible principle, there would be no visible form from the inside out. All ideas are first a concept, then a reality. This explains also our own experiences. If our concepts are limited, so will be the reality of our understanding. The Father within is our source, our being, our life. The physical appearance and environment manifests according to one's knowledge. Jesus came to free us from our ignorance of our oneness with God and was only able to reach a few spiritually minded persons back when he was on the planet. The multitudes of people on earth during that time were not ready for such profound truth. So what about us now? However, she says, today's people are gravitating forward into a greater understanding than ever before. More churches are revealing God within. More books are being written which enlighten mankind to God's presence within. The violence we see in the streets and nations around the world are only due to ignorance of God's individual and collective nature. There's only one, and we are it. That too will change as the world evolves from materiality to spirituality. And then she concludes by saying, just as I awakened to the truth that God is in me, so will the world in time. The abundance of God is within. All the power of the Father is within you. All is well. God bless you.